How's it going, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the iPhone 5S and how it holds up in 2023. Now, this was released basically exactly 10 years ago, and just recently the iPhone 15 came out, and it's crazy to me that we've been through several generations, and now we are at the iPhone 15, but this is the iPhone 5S right here. And this is quite an interesting piece of technology. The reason why this was so groundbreaking was because this was the first iPhone post Steve Jobs. Now, yes, the iPhone 5 was made after Steve Jobs' death. However, it still ran iOS 6 and it didn't really feel like a new thing. This had a brand new iOS 7 and actually went up several generations all the way to iOS 12.5.6, which is absolutely insane. But we're not talking about how groundbreaking it is. We're talking about how does it hold up in 2023. And honestly, if we're looking at the design is actually really nice. Even though, yes, it's really small for a new iPhone, the iPhone SE that came out in 2016 also has the same design. And there are a few phones like the iPhone SE 2nd generation or the iPhone 8 that are newer, that are a really similar size to this. I mean, not exactly really a similar size, but it is sort of a similar size, same form factor, same everything like that. So this being this size isn't actually that bad. It's totally usable, and honestly, it's not that bad in terms of the design because it's just an aluminum build. There's a little bit of glass on the top and the bottom right there, but overall it's just an aluminum build. And yes, this does create a little bit of marks after several years of usage, but it is still pretty good. So performance is a major thing in a phone, and how does this perform in 2023? For a 10-year-old phone, this is probably the best performing phone ever. This is performing really, really well on iOS 12. I mean, all things considering, this runs essentially perfectly. There's no lag or anything like that. With several previous generations, Apple did right by mixing a really high amount of software updates and also making it really smooth and consistent. So overall, it's really good in terms of the performance considering that it's 10 years old. But that is considering it's 10 years old. And the performance with the Apple A7 chip and 1GB RAM means that even though the home screen performance is fine, loading up really complicated games or really even simple games will be a struggle. However, even though it will be a trouble running the actual games, opening the apps or games will be really smooth, consistent, and there won't really be any lag, as you can see with this. So I'm opening up Calculator, obviously a really simple app, but I'm opening up YouTube, pretty simple, opening up Twitter, and as you can see, it does take a while, but there's no lag or anything like that. Just don't expect to have any top tier games or anything like that. Now, you might be fooled by this wallpaper. This is actually still, I just put the new wallpaper on. This is an iPhone 5S. As you can tell right here, it's on iOS 12.5.4. And so basically, yeah, the software, even though it's not up to date, it is actually still pretty new because we are on iOS 17, so it is pretty old, but it will still feel just like a new iPhone with a few exceptions. Now let's talk about this display. This display is actually pretty good. It's not amazing, but it is pretty bright. As you can see with this in full brightness, we're going to turn that down right there. But overall, it's actually still pretty good. It doesn't get up to a crazy high amount of nits or anything, but it is a 640 by 1136 and has a 326 ppi density, which means that it is Retina. And that means you really can't see any pixels, as you can see right here, which is good. So let's talk about these cameras. So on the rear, you have an 8 megapixel camera that can record 1080p at 30 FPS video. Not amazing, but actually not that terrible. 1080p is still totally relevant today. On the front, you have a 1.2 megapixel selfie camera that can do 720p video. Obviously not amazing, but not that bad either. However, photos overall will be still really disappointing. Apple does their best with 10-year-old hardware, but it just can't compete with anything, as you can see right here, or anything like that. Video quality's fine, but it won't be anything out of the ordinary. It'll just be your standard Apple 1080p video with a lot less detail compared to the newer iPhones. Let's talk about this battery. This battery is, it's not great. It's a 1560 milliamp hour battery, and you will get at most 3 hours of screen on time, which is terrible. Charging will be really slow too, usually takes about 1 to 2 hours, so pretty disappointing there as well. Overall, this phone is not that great. There's some things going for it that I didn't really mention, like Touch ID and a pretty nice design, which I did mention, but and it has okay cameras, and it is really cheap. You can find these phones for 30 bucks, 20 bucks, and if you get lucky, 10 in some cases. But generally, I really still wouldn't recommend this just because it's not on the latest software, and even though it does run pretty good and it has all the basics of a phone, you will be finding yourself just almost instantly upgrading to a new phone. Because most likely this won't, even though this will handle your everyday tasks, most people want to do more than just your everyday tasks, such as gaming, going on Instagram, etc. Especially for gaming, this thing does not handle well, so as a result, I do not recommend this, unless you find this for a really good deal, like I did. I think I got this for like maybe $5, something like that, 5-10 bucks. So honestly, it's a pretty good deal for that price, but anything more, even 20 bucks, just save up, go up in price. Buy a $99 or $159 at least iPhone 7, and anything under that will just be basically outdated. And even the iPhone 7 is becoming outdated, and actually even the iPhone X is soon to become outdated. Anyways guys, hopefully this gave you some information on the iPhone 5S, and actually this is still a really good phone. I mean, considering that it is 10 years old, but yeah, I wouldn't recommend it. Anyways, see you guys later. Hopefully you enjoyed this video, and yeah, peace.